So a lot of confusion and perhaps some misunderstanding about what this GEC after grade 9 actually means. To try and help us unpack this a little further, we're now joined by education expert Professor Mary Metcalfe, who herself is a former Education MEC here in Gauteng and currently Senior Research Associate at the University of Johannesburg. Prof, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Peter.
All right, so your initial reaction at the announcement that there will be this general education certificate after grade 9?
I was delighted, and I'm sorry that there's been so much confusion, because I think when people understand the point of the certificate and how it's going to help so many young people, I'm hoping that people will feel reassured and realize that this is a good thing.
Explain to us how it's going to help people, rather than what people are saying is that it's taking us back to the era of the junior certificate.
So firstly, I think many people understood this as they heard very strongly exit point, that young people would leave school and they would be lost to education and training. That is not correct at all. This is a point of certification, which means, I think, several things. Firstly, that their learning all the way from grade 1 to grade 9 is going to be recognized in a certificate. Now, let me explain why that's important, first of all. At the moment, large numbers of children, as many as half of our children, some people estimate, leave school before they write matric, and they leave without any certificate at all. Now, this grade 11 general education and training certificate will mean that all children get recognition, a celebration, if you want, for their families and themselves of what they've achieved. The second thing is that this general education certificate is going to open multiple pathways for them. At the moment, we've got a very matric-focused education system. Everybody's striving towards the bachelor pass, but not everyone's going to go to university. What the DBE has been doing over the last years, and we should be welcoming it, is saying that there's different streams. There's the academic stream towards the National Senior Certificate, the NSC, but there's other streams that lead to vocational and occupational paths other than education. Once we introduce this grade 11 certificate, it will be easier for young people to take that certificate and enter other schools that have a vocational orientation or an occupational orientation, to stay in the same school, or possibly, if it's the right education context for them, to go to a TVET college. So this was long planned for in the National Qualifications Framework. And it's going to help young people by recognizing and by opening new pathways. But there's one other thing that for me is so important, and that is that by introducing this grade 9 certificate, we are going to be refocusing the attention of many schools and education officials to the quality of what's happening in grade 8 and 9. Grade 8 and 9 are the grades where I think we support learners the least when they're at their most vulnerable as adolescents. But now that there's going to be a system-wide focus on grade 9, I think it's going to orientate people towards the attention that's needed to support learners in grade 8 and 9, which is the weakest part of the system in my view.
All right, I think I want to go right back to the beginning, because this might be able to help us understand what it is we're trying to achieve when people go to school. What are we trying to do when we send people to school?
That's a fantastic question. In South Africa, we almost treat it in the national conversation as if the only point of going to school is to get an entrance to university pass. That's very important, but not everyone's going to achieve that. We send people to school for several reasons. Number one, to gain the skills and the thinking and the critical capacities to be active citizens, socially, economically, and to be productive. Now, not all learners are going to have productive, socially contributing, leading lives through the university route. The majority are going to be doing that through the vocational, technical opportunities. So this grade 11 certificate, together with the opening of the 3 streams that the Minister has been working on, opens multiple pathways for young people to gain the skills, as well as hopefully the critical thinking and social awareness that will make them active citizens.
I can't help but compare the education system that I was exposed to, and there were 2 exit points, one at O-level and another at A-level. And the A-levels were really designed for people going on to university, and that the O-level was actually recognized as an exit point, because at that stage I think everybody was given a sort of minimum standard of education, which helped create my country, Zimbabwe, as one of the most literate on the continent. And I just wonder if we're getting too stuck on the idea that you must progress beyond grade 9 if you have enough to do some work already.
Exactly, you're correct. What we need is differentiated exit points and differentiated pathways. In the Zimbabwean education system, there was also an exit point prior to O-level, which was College of Preceptors, which a British qualification. So learners could exit after 2 or 3 years in high school, or 4 years in high school, or the 5 or 6 years in high school. But they exited with a qualification which they could take into a further education and training environment if they chose. Does that make sense?
Yes, indeed. So going forwards, what will be the impact if we do have a large number of people exiting at grade 9? Because we don't want to call it exit, but it's quite possible that a lot of people just won't go another stream, either technical or even go to university and do another 2 years to do matric, and maybe go and become, I don't know, a labourer, a farmhand or something.
It's a really excellent question. I'll tell you why. It's because maybe many parents and community members are feeling anxious that we're going to have a major exodus of young people saying, I've got the certificate, I'm going somewhere. My sense is that the aspirations of families, of parents and of young people is in fact to proceed to have the best opportunities that the education system can give them. I would expect that once the certificate is introduced, families are going to be celebrating how well their children have done, encouraging them to do better and encouraging them to proceed. Most of the technical and vocational training that's going to be available is going to be available, well, a lot is going to be, I can't say most, I'm not sure of the number of places yet, will be available in the schools that the learners are currently going to, or a school that's within easy access that offers the subjects that they want to do. So there's not going to be lots of people leaving, because there would have to be some incentive to leave. There's no incentive to leave. The incentive is to carry on in education and training and carrying on learning. And the TVET colleges are being strengthened to also absorb many learners into the learning opportunities that they offer.
All right, you gave us a clue already in terms of my next question, because people are worried that this is actually going to contribute to reducing the standard of education. But you said that this might actually help because of the increased focus around 8 and 9.
Yeah, for me, that's the best thing. The work that I've been doing over the last couple of years has made me passionate about the extent to which we need to address the neglect of grade 8 and 9. They are the least important part of the high school. Often, not always, they get the teachers that are least confident. Often they get the least resources. By simply having this grade 9 exam, the General Education and Training Certificate, I think that there's going to be huge renewed energy into ensuring that those results are good. And for high schools, for families, that's really good news.
Okay, Professor Metcalfe, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much indeed for your insights on this day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Professor Mary Metcalfe, who was a former education of MEC here in Gauteng. And she says that this is a really good development. It's been planned for quite some time, and it's going to add rather than take away to our education opportunities for our young people.